Welcome back to the Daily Bread Bible Study as we are wrapping up the end of First Chronicles, focusing on chapters 27 through 29. This is for day 127 for Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. So First Chronicles 27 goes back into the list of people, heads of the families there for the military. In First Chronicles 27, this is the list of the people of Israel, the heads of families, the commanders of the thousands and hundreds, their officers who served the king in all matters concerning the divisions that came and went, month after month, throughout the year, each division numbering 24,000. Now, the names include many of the 30, quote-unquote, the mighty men of David, as found in 1 Chronicles 11, and the corresponding part in 2 Samuel. It makes sense that you would appoint valiant and favored warriors as leaders in battle. We then move on to a list of the leaders of the tribes of Israel. It also notes that a list of this full list of those below 20 years of age was stopped. This is due to the plague that was sent upon King David for taking the census improperly, as I believe not offering an offering for the lives that they had counted. At the end of chapter 27, we see a list of officials and the closest to advise King David. Some of the names we have previously discussed here are mentioned. Ahithophel, which from 2 Samuel was the one who defected with Absalom as a wise advisor. Then we have Hushai, the one who stayed with Absalom to help King David escape and overthrew the council of Ahithophel. We have Benaiah, who was the commander of the 30, Joab, who was the commander of the king's army. We then have mentioned Jonathan, called David's uncle, and this seems kind of strange, because we think of Jonathan, namely the Jonathan son of King Saul, but in 1 Kings 1:42, we see a Jonathan, the son of Abiathar, is mentioned there, and so it's likely that this Jonathan is not the same as King Saul's son who died previously. In 1 Chronicles 28, we have a bit of narrative. King David calls all the leaders together, and he lets them know about the succession plans through the soon-to-be King Solomon. King David says that Solomon will build the temple, not I, because I'm a warrior, I'm a man of blood, but Solomon will be a man of peace. That Judah is called the leader over Israel, which, if you judge the Samuel account of all of this, that and the First Kings accounts that will come up, there will be some pushback against Judah being the leader over all Israel. Say they obey the commandments of the Lord, and if you forsake the commandments of the Lord, God will forsake you, foreshadowing the exile that is to come in 2 Chronicles. David then turns everything over to Solomon. And in 1 Chronicles 29, King David continues to speak to the assembly. He says, Solomon is young and inexperienced, so I have done what I can provide. And just look all that I provided for. But saying that the temple is not just for you, it's also for God. And so we need to, put all of these things together, not just for you, but also for God, because this is something that we need to do for God. Oh, and by the way, in a twist of a fundraising appeal, he says, I've done my part, but still have a need. Who then will willingly offer, consecrating themselves today to the Lord? And by the way the king set it up, a lot of people do offer money and contributions to that. He sets it up very well, right? We have that King Saul, his wise plan, his trying to give a lot of his personal resources, what he could muster, but saying that we are so close, but just need your contribution to get us there. And so Yes, the contributions are then given there as people are assembled together. So you judge what those dynamics might be for yourself. Lastly, King David rejoices in a blessing of God and leads the people in worship. And after all of this, the priest Zadok anoints Solomon as king in the presence of all of Jerusalem. Again, this version is a little different than the first king's struggle for power, the struggle for succession after King David. Adonijah is not mentioned. At last, we have a conclusion of the reign of David, and it says in 1 Chronicles 29, verse 28, "He died in a good old age, full of days, rich in honor, and his son Solomon succeeded him." We then also, I think, have a little explanation of why certain things were different. It is because there are other records of King David that can be referenced. 1 Chronicles 29:28, it says, or 29, I should say, 29:29. "Now the acts of King David from first to last are written in the records of the seer Samuel, in the records of the prophet Nathan, and in the records of the seer Gad, with accounts of all his rule and his might, and of the events that befall him, and Israel, and all the kingdoms of the earth." So records are kept of Samuel and Nathan and Gad. We have some books dedicated to Samuel, so maybe that's part of it, but these books for Nathan and Gad, we don't have access to them. Thus, we close the end of 1 Chronicles, the one documenting all sorts of things. We remember that Chronicles and chronicling things is insufficient, right? We close on the note that the books of the Bible are not meant to cover all the historical details of their day and time. Unfortunately, these records are not documented in the Bible, and we as people of faith, studying the story of King David, are left to just make some assumptions. There's a lot of content here, but a lot missing as well. So I hope this frees you from having to know every detail about the Bible or a book of the Bible or a character in the Bible, and empowers you to let your faith help fill in the details and tell the story that God has put upon your heart. So thanks for joining me. We will venture into 2 Chronicles next time.